A mischievous young man climbs the village's sacred mango tree, stops cold when the ancient trunk begins to speak. Kiki had always been restless. Even as a child growing up in the small village of Amara, nestled at the foot of the green hills, he could never sit still. Now, at 23, not much had changed. While other young men his age worked the fields or learned trades from their fathers, Kiki spent his days scheming, playing pranks, and finding shortcuts to get what he wanted without the tedious business of waiting or working. The villagers tolerated him mostly. He was charming when he wanted to be, quick with a laugh and quicker with an excuse. But tolerance had its limits, and Kiki was rapidly approaching them. At the center of Amara stood the great mango tree. It was ancient, older than anyone could remember, its trunk so wide that 5 men linking arms could barely encircle it. Its branches spread like welcoming arms over the village square, providing shade for gatherings, shelter from sudden rains, and in season the most magnificent mangoes anyone had ever tasted. The villagers treated the tree with reverence, harvesting its fruit only when it was perfectly ripe, sharing the bounty equally among all families, and never taking more than was needed. Kiki thought all of this was nonsense. "It's just a tree," he muttered to himself one sweltering afternoon, watching the villagers carefully inspect the hanging fruit, discussing whether this mango or that one was ready for picking. All this fuss over when to pick a mango. If I want one, I'll take one. His friend Desta, a patient young woman who worked at the village's small medical clinic, overheard him and sighed. "Kiki, you know the rules. We wait until the fruit is ready and then we share. It's how it's always been. Rules made by people too afraid to take what's right in front of them," Kiki replied with a dismissive wave. "Look at those mangoes up there, Desta. Golden and perfect. And everyone's just standing around talking about waiting another week." Desta shook her head. "They're not ready yet. Elder McKenna says the color isn't quite right, that they need more time in the sun. If you pick them now, they'll be sour and hard. Elder McKenna is 90 years old and probably can't see the mangoes from where she sits," Kiki laughed. "I'm telling you, they're ready. And I'm going to prove it." That night, when the village was quiet and the moon hung low over the hills, Kiki crept to the great mango tree. The air was thick with the scent of earth and growing things, and somewhere in the distance, a night bird called mournfully. Kiki ignored the atmosphere, focused only on his goal. He grabbed the lowest branch and began to climb. He had always been an excellent climber, nimble and fearless. Within minutes, he was high in the canopy, surrounded by leaves that rustled softly in the warm breeze. The mangoes hung all around him, their skins catching the moonlight like lanterns. Kiki reached for the nearest one, his fingers closing around its smooth surface. "You are not the first to climb me in the darkness, seeking what is not yet yours to take." Kiki nearly fell from his perch. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, deep and resonant, like the sound of wind moving through a canyon. He pressed himself against the trunk, his heart hammering. "Who's there?" he whispered. "I am here," the voice replied, and Kiki felt the bark beneath his hands vibrate slightly with each word. "I have always been here." Understanding dawned slowly, accompanied by disbelief. Kiki stared at the trunk, at the rough bark pressed against his palms. "The tree," he breathed. "You're the tree." "I am the great mango tree of Amara," the voice confirmed. "I have stood in this place for 300 years. I have watched generations come and go, seen children become parents and parents become grandparents. I have witnessed patience rewarded and impatience punished. And now I am watching you, Kiki, the restless one, trying to take what nature has not yet offered." Kiki's grip tightened on the branch. "This is impossible. Trees don't talk." "Many things are possible that you have not yet learned," the tree replied, and there was something almost amused in its tone. "You believe only in what you can see and grab and take, but the world is far deeper than your quick hands can reach." Kiki swallowed hard, his earlier bravado evaporating like morning mist. "I just wanted a mango," he said weakly, "and you shall have many mangoes when they are ready. But tell me, Kiki, why could you not wait?" The question hung in the air, and Kiki found himself struggling to answer. Why couldn't he wait? It had always been this way. The impatience, the need for immediate gratification, the inability to trust that good things would come in their own time. "I don't know," he admitted finally. "I've never been good at waiting. It feels like if I don't take things when I see them, they'll disappear. Someone else will get them first." The tree was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was gentler. "Come down, young one. Sit among my roots. I have something to show you." Despite every instinct telling him to flee, Kiki found himself descending carefully, settling into a natural hollow formed by the tree's massive roots. The ground was soft with fallen leaves, and the canopy above filtered the moonlight into dancing patterns. "Close your eyes," the tree instructed. Kiki obeyed, and immediately he felt something shift. It was as if he were being pulled inward, into the very heart of the tree. He could feel water rising through the trunk, drawn up from deep wells in the earth. He could sense sunlight being caught and transformed, turned into the energy that fueled growth. He could feel the slow, patient work of creation, cells dividing, sugars forming, fruit developing layer by layer, day by day. "This is how a mango is made," the tree said softly. "Not in a moment, not through wanting or taking, but through time and trust. The sun gives its light, the rain gives its water, the earth gives its nutrients, and I give my years of accumulated wisdom. Together we create something sweet and nourishing. But it cannot be rushed. Force it, and you destroy what you sought to claim." Kiki opened his eyes, tears streaming down his face. He had felt it, the immense patience, the quiet faith in natural cycles, the understanding that everything had its season. "I never knew," he whispered. "I never understood." "How could you?" the tree replied kindly. "No one taught you. Your father left when you were small, and your mother worked so hard to provide that there was no time for lessons about patience. You learned to grab because you feared there would be nothing left if you waited." Kiki's breath caught. The tree was right. His earliest memories were of scarcity, of his mother's tired face, of other children getting things he couldn't have. He had learned that the world was a competition, and hesitation meant loss. "But the world is not only competition," the tree continued, as if reading his thoughts. "It is also cooperation. It is also abundance. When the villagers wait for my fruit to ripen, they are not losing, they are gaining. They are gaining sweetness instead of sourness, plenty instead of scarcity. And when they share, they are not diminishing what they have, they are multiplying it. Community is its own kind of harvest." Kiki sat in silence, letting the words sink deep into his heart. The night air was cool on his tear-streaked face, and for the first time in as long as he could remember, he felt a strange sense of peace. "What should I do?" he asked finally. "Return tomorrow," the tree said. "Watch and learn. See how the village works together, how each person contributes, how patience creates abundance. And when the mangoes are ready, truly ready, you will taste sweetness you have never known." Kiki nodded slowly, rising to his feet. He placed his hand on the tree's trunk, feeling the rough bark, the life pulsing beneath. "Thank you," he said. "Thank me by learning," the tree replied. "Thank me by changing." The next morning, Kiki appeared in the village square at dawn. The early risers stared at him in surprise. Kiki was never up before noon if he could help it. But there he was, approaching Elder Makina, where she sat beneath the great mango tree, her weathered hands busy with needlework. "Elder Makina," he said, his voice humble, "may I sit with you?" The old woman looked up, her eyes sharp despite her years. "You may," she said slowly, clearly curious. Kiki sat, and for a long while, neither of them spoke. They simply watched the village come to life. Vendors setting up their stalls, children running to school, farmers heading to the fields with their tools. Kiki noticed things he had never paid attention to before, the way neighbors greeted each other, the small kindnesses exchanged, the rhythm of a community working together. "You climbed the tree last night," Elder Makina said finally, not looking at him. Kiki's face flushed. "How did you know?" The old woman smiled, still focused on her needlework. "The tree told me. It tells me many things. It has been speaking to our village for generations, though fewer and fewer know how to listen." Kiki stared at her. "You've heard it too?" Since I was younger than you. The tree speaks to those who need to hear when they are ready to listen. You were ready last night, Kiki. Your heart was open enough to hear. Over the following weeks, Kiki became a different person. He began helping with the harvest preparations, learning from the older farmers how to read the signs of ripeness, the subtle shift in color, the gentle give of the fruit, the fragrance that intensified as sweetness developed. He learned that patience wasn't passive waiting, but active attention, a kind of trust in processes larger than himself. Desta noticed the change first. "You're actually working," she observed one afternoon, finding him helping to repair baskets that would hold the mango harvest. "I didn't think I'd ever see the day." Kiki laughed, but it was different from his old laugh, less mocking, more genuine. "I've been learning things," he said, "about patience, about how good things take time." Desta sat beside him, watching his hands work the woven reeds. "The tree?" she asked quietly. He nodded. "It helped me understand something I've been running from my whole life. I was so afraid of not getting my share that I couldn't see there was enough for everyone. I was so focused on taking that I never learned about giving." Desta was quiet for a moment. "My grandmother used to say that the great mango tree was the heart of our village, that it taught us how to live, slowly, patiently, in rhythm with the seasons. I thought it was just an old story." "It's more than a story," Kiki said. "It's alive, Desta, more alive than anything I've ever known." The day of the harvest finally arrived. The village gathered in the square, everyone from the youngest adults to the eldest grandparents. Elder McKenna stood beneath the tree, her face lifted toward the fruit-laden branches.
"The mangoes are ready," she announced, and a cheer went up from the crowd.
Kiki watched as the harvest unfolded, young men climbing carefully to pick the fruit, passing it down in gentle chains of hands, filling basket after basket with golden, fragrant mangoes. There was laughter and singing, stories and jokes. No one pushed or grabbed. Everyone would receive their share. When it was Kiki's turn to climb, he ascended with reverence, handling each mango as if it were precious, which it was. He felt the tree's presence around him, warm and approving.
"You have learned well," the tree murmured, so quietly only he could hear.
"I had a good teacher," Kiki replied.
That evening, the village gathered for the harvest feast. Tables were set up in the square, laden with mango dishes of every kind, fresh slices, dried preserves, chutneys and sauces, mango drinks and desserts. Kiki sat with Desta and Elder McKenna, eating the sweetest mango he had ever tasted.
"This is what I would have missed," he said softly. "If I had taken that unripe fruit in the night, I would have had something sour and hard, and I would have thought that was all there was."
Elder McKenna nodded.
Patience is not about denying yourself. It is about trusting that the best is yet to come. The tree knows this. The seasons know this. Now you know it too.
As the feast continued, Kiki noticed a young man lurking at the edges of the celebration, Tadessa, a newcomer to the village who had arrived just weeks before. He was watching the shared food with hungry eyes, his posture tense and suspicious, as if he expected someone to tell him he couldn't have any. Kiki recognized that look. He had worn it himself for most of his life. Rising from his seat, Kiki approached the young man with a plate laden with mango slices. "Here," he said, offering it. "There's plenty for everyone." Tadesse looked at him warily. "Why would you share with me? You don't even know me." Kiki smiled. "I know you better than you think. Come, sit with us. Let me tell you about this tree and what it taught me about patience and community." From her seat beneath the great mango tree, Elder McKenna watched the exchange, a knowing smile on her weathered face. The tree rustled its leaves contentedly, dropping a perfectly ripe mango at her feet. A gift, as it had given gifts for 300 years, to those who understood that abundance was not about taking, but about trusting. waiting and sharing. The moon rose over Amara, casting silver light on the feast below. And in the gentle whisper of leaves, if you listened carefully, you could hear the tree humming an ancient song about cycles and seasons, about patience and community, about the simple truth that the sweetest fruit always comes to those who wait.